Hey guys, Theron Asbury here again with Revital Outdoors, bringing you our newest podcast. Today's guest, I'm very, very excited. He's one of our newest members to our pro staffs for Revital Outdoors. You see him on the Bassmaster Elite Series. I fished against this guy on the FLW Tour back in our co-angler days. He took a lot of people's money. He was the Forrest Wood Cup Champion as a co-angler. He won Angler of the Year as a co-angler on the FLW Tour. I think he got a second place and a third place in the Forrest Wood Cup as well. One of the best to ever pick up a rod from the co-angler side, and then he did the transition to the boater side, and in 1 year, just 1 year, he qualified for the Bassmaster Elite Series. He won the very first Open last year in 2020 on Lake Toho, I believe, and then this year, his rookie season on the Bassmaster Elite Series, he wins his very first tournament as a Bassmaster Elite Series pro, first pro angler tournament. He wins on the St. Johns River. None other, South Carolina's own Bryannew. Let's bring him in. How you doing today, Bryan?
What's up, man? Hey, I think that's the first time I've been introduced as South Carolina's Bryannew because I recently just moved to moved from North Carolina. I've always lived like right there on the line. Always got gas in South Carolina because it was cheaper and it was closer. It was like a mile down the road. But my wife moved down here to Lake Murray where she's from, and I love it.
Good for you, man. Good for you. So, well, we just came off your rookie season on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and I don't think I've told you this enough. You and I have been friends for a long time, but congratulations, man. You had a great year. I remember back in the days of our co-angler tournaments, we all knew that you were going to fish bigger and better stuff. I mean, there's anglers that come along that you can see them. You see how they carry themselves. You see them on the water. You see how consistent they are. And you just know that person's going to do well someday in his tournament career. I mean, I've said that about you. Numerous people said the same thing. We said that about Jordan Lee back when we were fishing with him in college. Same with Zach Burge. You're the next breed of anglers that I feel like is going to make his way into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame someday. So tell us what it was like, making that transition and finally getting in the front of the boat. I think you fished as a co-angler for 7 or 8 years. And then, you had 1 year on the Opens. You made the Elite Series. So what's it been like? And how was your rookie season? And what'd you take away from it?
I appreciate, that. But, yes, this is fishing. And I've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed. But it didn't happen overnight. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, whatever you want to do in life, whatever your dream is, you can, if you want to be the best football player to ever be, chances are you're probably not going to be, but you can work hard at it and you can have a career that you love doing, playing football or being in that industry or whatever it may be. You may not be exactly what you want to be or your true dream is, but if you work hard and dedicate your life to it and live right and do good things, you're going to succeed. You're going to get where you're wanting to get. Like I said, you may not be the best there ever was. I mean, there's only one best there ever was. But that's kind of what it's been like for me. I mean, I'm not old by any means, but I'm 31. I'll be 32 in like a month and a half. And this started out when I was a kid. Like I was literally 6 or 7. I said I want to be a professional fisherman, and there was several times where I realized, hey, this is probably not going to work. But it did work out for me. I mean, I'm almost 32 years old, so I'm a grown man now. But I finally made it. I've been very fortunate to have, a lot of successes along the way, from wins and just financially, as well through the wins and the good events I've had. But like that transition from the co-angler to the boater side is, man, it's I guess it kind of started out because I was fishing BFLs as a co-angler when I first started when I was 16. And then I stepped up and fished the tour as a co-angler. And then I started fishing. I was fishing the tour as a co-angler and BFLs and local tournaments around the house as a boater. And then I think after I won the cup, which is pretty cool, was on Lake Murray where I live right now.
Mm-hmm. You didn't just win it; you blew it away. Let's just be honest. I remember second place finisher was Jason Johnson, and I think you beat him by 11 pounds.
I don't know if it was that much, but it was enough. I know that. Hey, I won two.
That's all that matters.
I won two actual tournaments as a co-angler on the FLW, the Cup, and then a regular season event. Jason Johnson finished second in both of those.
I remember that.
Jason, my boy, he's always gave me a hard time about that, but hey, good job for second, Jason. But no, like, you know, so kind of going back. So I started fishing the BFLs as a boater and still fishing the tour as a co-angler. Then I started fishing the Costas or the Toyota series as a boater, and I'm still fishing the tour as a co-angler. So I'm mixing it up a little bit. I'm kind of taking baby steps. I literally took every single step from the bottom all the way to the top. From my little puppy's playing with this with this squeaker, but yeah. So I've been like fishing local tournaments at the house, to fishing BFLs as a co-angler, to fishing the tour as a co-angler, BFLs as a boater, Coastas as a boater, Opens as a boater, and now the FLW or the Bassmaster Elite Series. Yeah, I mean, every single step I didn't skip one. And you know,
you really didn't.
There was a lot. I mean, it was a process. I mean, one, it was learning along the way, getting better, getting good enough to get to this step, getting good enough to get to that step. But while I'm getting good enough, learning enough to get to this step, I'm also making enough money to fund the next step. Because, you know, the sponsor money is not there all the time. I mean, especially when you're on the lower levels, it's not. And I mean, even when you're on the top levels, it's not what people think. And but you know, that's that all comes in, I mean, hand in hand, because when somebody sponsors you, so to speak, I don't really look at it as somebody's sponsoring me. I'm looking at it as, you know, they're hiring me, because they are hiring me. We're partners. They're giving me a job. My job is to sell their product. And for me to sell their product, I have to believe in it. I can't just go and tell a bunch of, hey, this is the best, you know, rod, or this is the best bait ever. If I don't believe that, I'm not going to try to sell that. But, you know, people say sponsor. Hey, I need sponsors. I need sponsors. But really, you need partners, because you're not my sponsor. You're my partner. You help me, I help you, and everybody succeeds. But that being said, you know, on the lower levels, you don't have the exposure. You don't have the impressions and everything that you do when you get to the top level. So that's one of the reasons that it's so hard to get sponsors for the, you know, or partners on the lower levels. And because honestly, you just don't have a whole lot to offer until you do get to the top level, where you have the media, you have the live coverage, and all of that.
That's absolutely true. And I want to highlight on what you just said. And the words that you just spoke are extremely, if anybody's watching this, high school angler, college angler, even an Open or Toyota Series angler, and you have the goal of wanting to be a professional someday. And what I mean by that is you want to make your living traveling the country, you know, competing in fishing tournaments. There's a lot of people out there that want to do that. I've always told people, don't burn any bridges. If you're coming up, don't burn any bridges, and execute on the right opportunities, because if you don't, there's going to be 1,000 people that right behind you that's going to take your place. So that being said, and this is so hard to say sometimes, because I don't want to ruin anybody's dreams. I want to see everyone succeed, whatever it may be that you want to do in the fishing industry. I want to see you succeed, And I hope along the way I can be someone that can help you get to where it may be, whether it be your partnership with Revital Outdoors or being somebody that can call somebody in the industry that I feel like that can help you. I want to do that. But what you just said is so true. You know, there's a lot of expectations at the middle level. And what I mean by that is the college level, the Toyota Series, the Bassmaster Opens. And unfortunately, it's got to make sense for a company to partner with the individual. And it's all about selling product. How can you get the most amount of traffic to my website? How can you get the most amount of impressions to my social media? And how can you drive the sales needle? And there's a lot of great anglers out there that do very, very well for their sponsors and the people they're partnered with. But it's very, very critical and very, very hard to push that needle. And unfortunately, from an industry standpoint, it's really hard to justify that unless a person is on the top touring level of the profession. You know, you don't see a lot of college athletes getting big time endorsements. There's, you know, now that they've uplifted the NCAA rules about players getting paid, which I was a huge advocate of that, because I see how much value these players bring to college organizations and college sports teams. But you don't see them signing the lucrative $40 million shoe deal with Nike. You just don't see that. No. You see it going to the Stephon Currys of the world or the athletes like that, because they have the most driven attention on them. That it's from the fans, that's from the media, that's as a whole. When you think about professional fishing, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is the Bassmaster Elite Series, Kevin Van Dam, and then the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. And you know, I hate to be that guy to say that the middle level guys are not going to get paid or the most lucrative deals or the deals that they feel like are going to help them the most, but it's very, very hard to be justified with that. And to anybody that's watching this, my recommendation is come in small. And that's something I learned from you and other anglers as well. I learned it from Scott Martin. I learned it from even Bryan Thrift. I learned it from Scott Canterbury. He was one that really taught me a lot the day that I drew him at Beaver Lake, is come in and just try to get a discount. And I know a discount doesn't go a long ways, but at least it gets your foot in the door with that company. And with that, you have an opportunity then. You can either sit back and say you use the products and not really do a whole lot with it, or you can go to the shows like the Bassmaster Classic Expo. You can go to the Red Crest Expo. You can go to open houses at bait shops in your local area, and you can try to represent that company and make you a known name to that company. You know, they're calling you and referring to you by your name. They know who you are. You're working for the company. Mm-hmm. So, and then social media. I know there's a lot of people out there. I'm not filming. I'm not posting pictures. I'm not hashtagging. I don't do that social media mess anymore. Well, unfortunately, that's the easiest way really to get the most impressions to as many companies or as many customers as possible, is to throw up a social media post. And I know it's aggravating and it's hard to do, but it's just an avenue that helps you get to where you want to be. So when you talk about dedication, when you talk about I want to get to the next step, how much are you willing to work? And everything takes work. You know, to get where I'm at in my position, I had to go to college. I had to get a 4-year degree. I had to, you know, cut my teeth with the Cherokee Nation Entertainment back in Oklahoma. And then I finally got my opportunity. For you, you had to pay those entry fees. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, sometimes in tournament fishing, paying entry fees is almost like paying tuition. Yeah. That's just the way it goes. I remember you and I in 2015, we had a great tournament. We both did it at Lake Toho, and then at Lewis Smith, I think that was the second tournament. You and I were both at the Waffle House after Friday afternoon because we both just didn't have a good tournament. Yeah. That's what it takes. It takes sleeping in the back of your truck. It takes those times that you really don't want to go through. But how bad do you want it? Because I've talked to, and I know you've done this as well. I've talked to the Scott Martins of the world. I've talked to the Scott Canterburys. I've talked to the Iconellis. I've talked to the Skeet Reeses. They've all at some point slept in the back of their truck and had to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah. Hey, so last year, me and my wife got married October 17th. Left the next morning at 2:50, 3 o'clock in the morning. Drove to Neely Henry to fish a Bass Open. Left there, went to Cherokee, Bass Open. Seminole Toyota Series. It was 7 weeks straight. Tournament. Leave this one, go to that one. We went home for 1 day for Thanksgiving, and then turned around and went to the last Open of the year, where I was fortunate enough to get Angler of the Year. But back up, so like we literally get married. Tomorrow we leave to go start practicing, and to save $1 and not kick out my roommate that I've been staying with all year. We stayed in the same hotel room with Joey Cifuentes. But
oh my goodness!
But yeah, it's all about you got to save $1 where you can. I mean, it's a business. You don't blow money. If this will do, you don't need that. I'm not saying you got to stay in a roach hotel every time, but sometimes you may have to, and that's all right. I've done it. I've done it more than once.
I remember in college fishing a conference championship with 11 people in a 1-bedroom hotel room one time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've stayed in some places I wouldn't let my dog stay. But hey, it makes you appreciate the good stuff. I mean, it's not always bad being down. I mean, everything that happens in life happens to teach you something, happens to give you the knowledge or give you the strength to overcome something in the future, or to see something coming in the future and be able to avoid it. Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get more put on you than you can handle. I can tell you that. It's just how you get through it and how you fight through it, and what you make of it.
Absolutely. I remember Ernest Hemingway used to say, a man's strength will come from his struggle. And I read about that in college, and it's just such a huge vibe. And, I've seen guys struggle on the tour trying to make it, and then I've seen them make it. You, for instance, I wouldn't say, and I don't know, maybe it was a struggle. Maybe there was a lot of things that you went through that people didn't see, like that 7 weeks continuous on the road, and that pretty much amounted to your honeymoon on the water. But you stuck in there, you cut your teeth. And I remember times that you and I both wanted to just quit and walk away. And it was so humbling to me to see you walk away with that blue trophy after the first Elite Series, because not only did you make it, but then you were rewarded once you got there. So that's just a testament to anything in life. We've had several of these podcasts now with Revital Outdoors, and one thing that a constant trend that I'm seeing is, if you want to do this, no matter if it's fishing, no matter whatever it may be, you need to be 100% passionate about it. And that means ignoring the bad times and focusing on the good times, and then always having goals. So, words of wisdom spoken right there. And I know you're going into your sophomore season on the Elite Series, but you've got to figure it out that those are the same words that guys like Jimmy Houston and Kevin Van Dam and Boy Duckett and Rick Clunn say. Rick Clunn's a huge advocate of it. I love reading his scripture that he puts on Facebook and books that he's published, because he is all about that positive mental attitude. A lot of seen that with Gerald Swindle, and that's just so true. Like you can't ever put yourself in a position where you're going to recognize and remember a bad tournament, a bad cast, having to sleep in that Roach Motel, or even down to eating a PB&J for dinner. It's the reward that you're seeking, so good for you, man. So, right. You had a great season on the Bassmaster Elite Series. I think you came up just a little bit short of that Rookie of the Year title, but nonetheless, you did qualify for the 2022 Bassmaster Classic. I know that's going to be an exciting event. It's right in your neck of the woods, and I know you're anxious about that. But tell us, what's your mindset going into the Bassmaster Classic? I know you've been practicing a couple of days on Hartwell, and without releasing too much out of the bag, I don't really care about the fishing aspect of it. I care about, what's your mindset, what's your goals, like what are you looking forward to fishing this tournament?
I mean, it's the biggest tournament that's ever been. It's the biggest tournament that will ever be, and just to qualify for it once in your lifetime is a huge accomplishment. I'm very fortunate that this will be my second one in my first year fishing, true professional level. So it's very prestigious. It's very rewarding just to know. But at the end of the day, it's just another fishing tournament. It's not just another fishing tournament. But in my head, it's just another fishing tournament because it doesn't matter how many eyes are on you. It doesn't matter how many, who you're fishing against. It's still you against the fish, you against the water. You have a job to do. You work your tail off. You try to make the most educated guesses that you can because that's what fishing is a bunch of educated guesses. And you try to, not make mistakes, not let stuff get in your head. And there's so much that can get in your head during the Classic. The media, the boats that are on you. I mean,
there's a lot of distractions.
There are. I mean, so this year, now, unfortunately, the first day of practice this year, I broke my wrist. So that really put a damper on things. I'm not saying I would have won or anything if I wouldn't have broke my wrist, but it definitely did affect me. So that was, that sucked. That's all there was to it. But I think we got 3 days of practice. We got a meeting the next day. We have I don't know. It's like a whole week process before the tournament starts. And I
know you guys report. You guys have to report like 10 days early before the first official day of the tournament.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a long time. I mean, we actually have 4 practice days total. So it's 3 and then a few off the water and then a day. And then we have a media day. We have a meeting day. And we have like one day we do a dinner. That's probably on the same day as something else also. I don't remember.
I think media day and the champions dinner on the same day, which is Tuesday before the tournament. And then Wednesday, they kind of leave you alone on Wednesday before you fish on Thursday.
Maybe. I don't know. It all runs together, honestly. But it's a lot going on. And then, like, being at Hartwell, oh, my gosh, the boats that's going to be out there, it's a lot going on. You've got to, and with that many boats, following you around, it changes the way you have to do things. Like, if I'm going in this pocket and there's a brush pile at the mouth of it, well, if I want to go fish this dock in the back of the pocket, but I want to fish the brush pile also, I better fish the brush pile first and then go fish the dock. If you've got all these boats following you. And it's not like everybody in the field's not going to have 100 boats following them constantly. But if you're catching them or if you're one of the favorites, it's definitely you're going to have some boats on you.
If Bryannew is leading going into the last day, especially being as close to home as you are and knowing how well you know Hartwell, I would imagine you're going to have at least 200 boats on you. And the cool thing about this sport is I guarantee you, I can't say this for sure, but I think there's going to be this Dominky Ranger wrapped out that's going to be following you. And that's so cool in this sport. I can't imagine him not being there supporting you.
Yeah. The first I would say good bass boat that I ever owned, I bought from Thrift. And it was still wrapped, and I had to go. Like, I had a tournament, the Race Caught Championship, the next week, so didn't have time to get it unwrapped. So I show up to this tournament in a Dominky wrapped Ranger, and everybody thinks, like, what's Bryan Thrift doing here? And it was funny. But, yeah, so, I mean, one of my best friends has been for years. We've been through, a lot together, life, fishing.
You were friends before you started fishing together, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we met through fishing, but, we were friends for, a handful of years before started traveling together. And when we started traveling together and practicing together, we just like really hit it off. We were have very similar styles. We're like OCD about everything. Like tackles got to be just perfect. We are, I mean, and when I say junkies, a lot of people think they know what a junkie is, but I don't know if they really do or not. I mean,
No, I've seen the back of your truck. People, you don't understand how much tackle this guy brings.
Oh my gosh. I tell you, when we moved, oh my gosh. When we moved, I finally realized how much tackle I really had. And I see it all the time, but it's all nice and organized and takes up as little space as possible. And then when you're moving, you're like trying to be in a hurry and you're like carrying all these boxes and you're like, man, does this stuff ever end? And then you get the rods and you try to put all your rods in the back of the truck, and literally the back of the truck's empty and you can't fit every rod that you own in the back of the truck. So you have to put them in the boat. Then you know you have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. You know, you and Thrift shared a very great friendship on tour, and I know you're still great friends now. I remember in 2016 when you won Angler of the Year as a co-angler, and we were launching out of Champlain that morning, and I remember, and this is a kind of a terrible story, but I remember Thrift on day 2. I remember day 1 you didn't have a very good day, and I remember day 2 as we were idling out, I was in the same flight as Thrift, and I remember him throwing up on the side of the boat. And I was like, Thrift, are you okay? He's like, dude, I just want to see Bryan win this thing. He needs it so bad. And that, you know, let's just be honest. Thrift's going to get his place in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. He's probably already earned it. You know, Forrest Wood Cup champion, multiple Angler of the Years. Probably, honestly, one of the most talented, naturally talented anglers there is. He's the machine. And to see someone that has everything on the line in his career, but he's sick that morning because his best friend in fishing has an opportunity to completely change his career. Where else do you get that but fishing? I mean, really?
Yeah. It's definitely a friendship that is means a lot to me. You know, you meet a lot of, you know, you have a lot of great friends through life. But, you know, you just, I don't know, we just connected. And I mean, that's like not sounding funny or anything, but we just, we're a lot alike. I mean, we're both always tinkering with tackle and this and that. And multiple times we were like, I don't know, talking about a certain bait technique, or we're trying to tweak this bait or that, and like we'll call each other and say, "Hey, what if we did this?" And you like the other one be like, "Yeah, I literally just thought about that. I was fixing to, you know, I just." So it's like we think, it's like we have the same thoughts, you know, a lot. And I'm not claiming to say, "Hell, I'm just as good as, or just, you know, just as anything as Bryan Thrift," but it is funny, you know, how much we are alike, and you know, we've got a lot of differences as well, but I mean, I'm a lot cooler than he is, and you know, all that good stuff. But hey, you can't be good at everything.
You know, you say that, and I will say you're one of the most calm, just neutral attitude. I've seen you in moments where I thought you were mad, and I've seen you win prestigious awards, and you're always the same, Bryan Thrift. You know, that being said, one of the things I really admired about you, and I think a lot of people do too. I mean, I've mentioned, or I know that Bill Taylor's mentioned it, is you treat everybody the same, from it being your wife or Bryan Thrift to that 9-year-old kid that's asking you to sign his hat. You always are the same, bryannew. So that's really cool to see. I gotta ask though, just because it's one of my favorite techniques in the world, and I just have to know, who can skip a jig further, you or him?
Andy Montgomery.
Okay.
Andy Montgomery's the best skipper on the planet, period.
This is a fact.
Period.
This is a fact. I mean,
I don't know. It's funny because, like, me and Thrift, we both grew up. You know, we both cut our teeth skipping a jig. In the Carolinas, you skip a jig a lot, and we don't do it a lot on tour. I mean, we don't. I mean, yeah, we do it from time to time, but it's every time one of us go to a tournament and have to, you know, we wind up doing that. We're like, dude, I suck at skipping nowadays. It's like I forgot how. I mean, yeah, we can do it, but we're not as good as we used to be because we don't do it all the time.
When's your favorite time to skip a jig?
I'm like in the Carolinas year round.
Really,
like see, our docks set up a lot different than a lot of docks around the country. Like Hartwell has a lot of cable docks. Lakes that fluctuate a lot have cable docks more than they do pole docks. Where the Carolinas, it's mostly all pole docks. If the water rises or lowers, the dock just goes up and down. It don't go in and out like the cable docks. So you have a lot more floating docks, a lot more tight places like that, and it's just our lake's set up better than. I mean, yes, of course, there's other lakes across the country that it comes into play, but I mean, it's something I'm going to do year round. I'll never be. I mean, Florida's different, but
I know.
I'm never going to
it's
be
a
on
different
lake.
animal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to be on a lake with docks on it without a skipping rod and a jig tied on. But yeah, and kind of talking about skipping, like everybody's kind of got their deal. But the Bryan Thrift Signature Series skipping rod from Fitzgerald is like that's money, and a lot of people think. Here's going to be my tip of the day. A lot of people think a big long rod like 7'2", 7'3", 7 foot rod for skipping. But I mean, I'm not a short guy. I'm 6'1". I'm not super tall, but I'm not short. But 6 foot 9 inch heavy action rod, and we call it a heavy action, but it's got the right tip, it's got the right everything, the right actions. But that shorter rod lets you roll, get that roll cast to skip. You can do it a lot quicker. You can be more accurate. It's not all about getting long distance. You're not making a bomb cast. You're trying to skip. So it's all about accuracy and speed. And that shorter rod is, a big player. That you can definitely skip farther with a shorter rod than you can, a longer rod.
There's a lot of rods there's a lot of rods out there about flipping, pitching, skipping, but to me, I truly think, and I know Trevor, he's a great guy, and I know Bryan as well, but you were actually the one that introduced me to that rod several years ago, and I picked one up, and it's a great skipping rod. I know that it's got the American Tackle microwave guides on it, great components. It's made really, really well. You can tell that Bryan took his time. I think it was a 2-year process designing that rod. Yeah. And it balanced. The thing I like the most about it is with a 3/8 ounce or a 1/2 ounce jig, which is probably the most notorious sizes for skipping a jig, it balances so extremely well.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I mean, like in the Opens last year was a big player for me in a lot of the tournaments in the Opens to qualify for the elites. I know Louisville, I caught at least half of my fish on a jig on docks. Where else? Where'd we go? Hartwell, I didn't. Neely Henry, I didn't catch him very good, but I did catch him on jig on docks. There was a few other tournaments, and I caught him on on that rod, skipping that jig in the tight places. And this year on the elites at Neely Henry again, I actually did do good this time. I think I finished 4th, 6th, maybe 6th. I don't know. Pretty good tournament though. I caught probably close to half of my fish, skipping docks there too, and skipping a chatterbait as well. I skip a
really,
chatterbait.
It's a good chatterbait rod.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, now I skip a chatterbait, and this I don't know what sense this makes, but kind of goes against what I just said, the shorter rod. But I use the 7.2 frog rod for a chatterbait, which there actually is 6.9 chatterbait rod.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should use it for skipping more, but I when I'm throwing a chatterbait, it's more like casting and skipping. So I guess that's kind of why I stick to the to that 7.2 more because I can make longer casts with the 7.2, and especially if I'm fishing around grass or something, I got that more power to snatch it out of the grass. And but I still can skip. I know that kind of goes against what I was saying on the shorter rod, but if you're strictly skipping, like that's what you're here to do, definitely go with a shorter rod.
Now, would you prefer that on a spinning rod too? Like if you're like skipping a like a wacky worm or a shaky head or something like that under docks, would you prefer the shorter rod as well?
Yeah, definitely. That's 6.8 to 6.10. That's that range there. I believe the shaky head wacky worm rod that I use, I believe it's a 6.10. It's either 6.9 or 6.10. I think it's 6.9 actually. It's and I use it for casting too, like casting a shaky head. I think spinning rods just cast fairly good because you have the bigger guides. See everything. I don't know the exact science behind it, but you don't necessarily need that long rod to be able to cast as far as you need to. I mean, I can cast the 1/8 ounce shaky head with a trick worm on it plenty far enough, as far as I need to on that rod.
Cool. Well, I got one more question when we're talking about skipping and jig fishing and all that. So I know that a very popular jig out in the East Coast was the shooter jig. Are they still being made? Is that something you still use? And then when it comes to jig selection, let's just ask from a guy that has done it a long time, what colors do you use? Do you keep it simple, or are you a guy that's counting strands of orange and brown, or like what jig are you using? What colors are you predominantly picking up?
Yeah, so shooter, they are still around. It's more or less like, a couple buddies can get them now. The guy, Louis Hull, that makes them, great guy, friend of mine. I don't talk to him very often, but good guy, heck of a fisherman too. He's just, he's just getting where he can't keep up. Huge band, and I think he's just I don't know this, but I think he's just getting tired of tying jigs so much. But so that being said, there's a lot of companies that make a jig very similar to it in the Carolinas. Greenfish Tackle makes one very similar to the shooter. It's slightly different, but it's the main thing is the hand-tied skirt. When you're skipping a jig, you've got to have a hand-tied skirt, because if you got a rubber band skirt, when you skip and it hits that water, it's going to pull that skirt down. You're constantly going to be fighting that. You're going to be wasting time, and your jig's just going to look like crap. So you got to have that hand-tied skirt. That being said, the Greenfish all-purpose jig is the jig that I use. They have a skipping jig and a heavy-duty skipping jig, but I like the all-purpose jig. It's it resembles the shooter more than any of the others. And it's just, to me, it's a really good all-purpose jig. It skips really well. It's good for casting. It's got the right hook, all of that. Colors, I would say I'm not super picky, but the guys at Greenfish say, yeah, you're definitely a little picky, but I really don't throw a lot of colors. I throw like a black and blue. I'm picky about how my colors are, but I have, 3 or 4 colors. Of course, a white. You always have to have a white jig, and that originated in the Carolinas as well. You got to have a white jig. You got to have a black and blue. I like. Well, actually, probably throw black, blue, green, pumpkin more than I do like a straight black and blue. But now, like Florida, I throw straight black and blue. And then, I like some kind of a green pumpkin with maybe just like some pale chartreuse. And then I like a green pumpkin with some orange. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if it looks good with a green pumpkin, big salty chunk on the back of it, probably a pretty good color jig.
Yeah. And I know you throw that big salty pretty much. If you go to Bryannew's social media accounts on Facebook or Instagram, I believe it's Bryannew Fishing. You see a lot of pictures of baits on his deck, and it's really cool that you take the time to show all your followers what you're using in tournaments, either just a fun day on the water or fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series or even the Bassmaster Classic. You always post the baits that you do well on. And there's 3 baits that I always see on the deck of his boat. That's a shaky head, that's a jig, and some sort of top water. And I would say 99.99% of the time, your jigs have that big salty on the back of it from Zoom.
Yeah, pretty much. So I throw a big salty chunk and I throw a Z-crawl. I'll cut a Z-crawl down just a little bit. And that's pretty much my 2 full-size jig trailers. Now, if I'm throwing like a more finesse jig or a smaller compact jig or something like that, or like, my new little jig, Bad Little Dude, it's actually, I think it's fixing to be available here very soon. We had some holdups on material, but I think that's actually going to be able to be available to the public pretty soon. But anyways, then I may go down to like a speed crawl or a Z crawl junior. I tell you another like really cool one that I've started doing in the last few years. So they come out with a Z Crawl Worm. It's got the same legs as the Z Crawl Junior, so you don't have to cut the Z Crawl Junior down anymore. You just cut the worm. Mm-hmm. It's got that, you can thread it, you can cut the worm link to the length, but you don't have to cut the body down to get it away from the hook. So you can use that as your trailer. And but as far as a full size, 99% of the time, I'd say probably 95% of the time, big salty chunk. The rest of the time is a Z crawl, just cut down just a little. The full size Z crawl, and to be, I mean, a big salty chunk looks like crap. I mean, really, it does, but it works. It does.
It works. And it flat out works.
It's so broad and flat. It makes your jig glide really well. That's what I like about it. And it catches bass. That's always good.
That's definitely a good thing. So, well, transitioning to why we have you on the show. Love always talking to you. I feel like we could talk for hours about picking the brain of Bryannew and fishing. You're very in depth, and I'm sure the listeners are appreciative of that. But talk about coming on board with Revital Outdoors. Some of the aches and sorenesses that you've had on a tour, even at a young age. I know that you've worked construction. You're like anybody else that's avid in the outdoors. You beat up your body. And what was it like coming on board, trying the Revital Outdoors products, and what's it done for you, and what products can we see in the boat of Bryannew in the 2022 Bassmaster Elite Series?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not that old, but I grew up rough. Like we played hard, we worked hard, and when you're young, you take your body for granted. Whatever, and you everybody older than you, you're smarter than them. And then you find mid-20s, you kind of realize, hey, he was right. Hey, he was right. Maybe I should have listened. And now, like I said, I'm not that old, but I do have a lot of aches. I have a lot of back pain. I have sleep apnea. I have a lot going on. And, whenever I seen, before I even spoke with you, I started seeing some advertisements for Revital, and it caught my attention because hey, here's a company that is promoting in the outdoors. It's giving back to the outdoor industry, and they're doing a lot of stuff that's trying to help relieve people, give you relief, and so when we got together and talked about it, like I was extremely excited. Kind of going back to what I was saying before, like I'm not going to promote something that I don't believe in, and that's one thing we spoke about. And it was like, hey, yeah, I'll take your money, but do I really believe in your product? No. So I wanted to try Revital's products before I actually come on board, and so you sent me some samples, and really, like, me and my wife's a nurse. She works, she's supposed to work 12-hour days. They're normally, 14 to 17-hour days. So she's on her feet all the time. She's working her butt off. Me, when I'm during the off season, I'm working a job. Actually, I'm crawling in crawl spaces around on my knees, and that's like, it's hard. I mean, it's not hard work, but it's hard on your body. So like we get aches and pains all the time. And the two things that, like, I love all the products, but the two things that have really like blew me away was, one, the melatonin. I started sleeping better. I've got a CPAP that I wear as well, but like now when I started wearing the CPAP about a year ago, I seen a difference. But it still was. I still had that, like, drag to me somewhat.
Right.
And then a few weeks, or I'm not sure. I mean, a few weeks or so after starting taking the melatonin, it's just I'm more upbeat. I've got more go in me now. And then the cream. I mean, like, my shoulders and my back hurt me every day. Some days it's not enough to bother me, but they hurt. And when I started using the cream, it's not instant, but it's as close to instant as you can get. And it's a lifesaver. It really is. It's something that will always be in my truck, something that will always be in my boat. It's something that will always be in my shower bag. And that's a product that, I'll never be without.
Good for you. So, well, I know you've had a lot of great response from the product, and you kind of came into it just like any other regular customer. They hear about it, they're not really sure, they're on the fence, or we see a lot of, I don't have any aches and sorenesses, I'm fine. And then the more they think about it, and the more they learn about the product. I think you and I spoke several times. I remember you texted me when I got with the company, and you're like, congratulations, I think this is really great. And then 2 or 3 times later, just texting, you're like, okay, I got to try this. And we had already been really highly considering you for an opportunity to expand our pro staff position. So it really worked out. And I knew, hearing your backstory of what you've been going through, especially at a young age, it was really kind of cool when you finally called me and you said, okay, I've been on this a month now. You gave it a solid month of trying it. And you're like, I got on it. I remember you say you got on it, you went off of it, and you got back on it to see that difference. Yeah. And I know your wife has used the product as well. She's a huge advocate of the cream and the melatonin as well. And what a difference it makes, And that being said, I think as far as the angler side of it goes, especially the tournament anglers, the top products are going to be the cream, just because of that shoulder and back sorenesses that we get. We need the relief from that. Cranking a reel handle all day, it just tears up our hands on our wrists throughout the day of doing that. The melatonin, CBD, the soft gels, for a great night's sleep. No one can possibly tell me that they're not on fire and can't sleep at night before the big tournament. So the melatonin, CBD, soft gels are a great component of that. I know I take 2 a night, and within 30 minutes, I'm completely out. But another one that I know you spoke of, and it makes a great boat snack, is the CBD gummies. So this is something that I know that the normal regimen is 2 soft gels in the morning, the regular soft gels, and then throughout the day, like, when you sit down for lunch, have a couple of the 10 milligram CBD gummies, and it just provides for that extra relief throughout the afternoon. And speaking of the gummies, you're the first person I've told about this, so we'll just kind of make it known. Don't know how much I can talk about this, but we'll just go ahead and say it. We have a new product coming out in the gummy line, and I think it's going to be a huge hit. So this is going to be available very, very soon on our website. And I know you're going to get some samples soon. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But we do have something else coming out in the gummy line. So be looking forward to that. And if you're new to Revital Outdoors products, or you want to give it a try, we do have an opportunity for you to do that and save a little bit. You can use Bryan New's discount code. I just put it up there right there. So 20% off your entire order. Use the code new20. There's no restrictions on that. You can use it as many times as you want to year round. It's not like our holiday sale or whatever. Anytime you want to try the product, or you're new to Revital Outdoors, or even getting into CBD and trying to educate yourself of why you should take CBD, definitely use a code like that to save yourself a few dollars for trying it. That being said, get on our website. You can find all the education about CBD, what it does for your endocannabinoid system, all of our products, and how premium the CBD is in our products, and what it does for outdoors enthusiasts. And you touched on it, and it's just so true. The people behind Revital Outdoors are outdoor enthusiasts ourselves. We're hunters. We're fishermen. And we want to give a product that can give back to the industry and help all anglers, all hunters stay longer in the field, more days on the water, and continue doing what they're very, very passionate about, and that's hunting and fishing. So we're very outdoor savvy, very well driven. And the two most important things with our company is we're 100% made in the United States. We're always going to be USA made, and we're THC free. So we're worker friendly. You're never going to pop a drug test. You don't have to worry about anything like that. But if you want to know more about that, you can see our website. All the education's there, or shoot us a chat. We'd love to talk to you. And then even if you don't know where to start with the products that you want to try, but you're not sure which ones, reach out to Bryan or the other pro staff of Revital Outdoors, or myself, or hit that chat on our website, and we'll be happy to talk to you and give recommendations. So from an angler's standpoint, though, I definitely recommend the CBD soft gels and melatonin, the CBD cream, and of course the CBD gummies. So Bryan, it's been an honor having you on the show. Any last thoughts? I know we're coming up on the holidays. We want to definitely wish you and your wife and your family a Merry Christmas, but any final thoughts for any of the hunting or fishing enthusiasts that are watching this show?
Yeah, man. I mean, I know everybody out there, we all have pains. We all do. I mean, you owe it to yourself to try this. I mean, you really do. Try the cream, try the gummies, especially the hunters, you got to get up early in the morning, try the melatonin. You owe it to yourself. I mean, worst thing you can do is, quit taking it. I don't like it. Try it and you'll be a believer. I said it a second ago. I'll say it again. I'm not going to promote a product if I don't believe in it. I tried it. I believed in it. I come back to you, and now I'm promoting it. I'm excited about this partnership. I'm excited about the growth. I'm excited about the 22 season. I'm excited that, my body feels better. I'm sleeping better, and my wife is less grumpy a lot now because she hurts less. But she's still just as pretty, but she's less grumpy. And no, that's man, I'm ready to go fishing. I this off season is killing me. We've got about a little over a month to go, and looking forward to Christmas with the family. Been doing a little striper fishing, and fixing to turn gears, and we've been working on, the whole entire off season. We've been working on getting ready for next season, but a lot of that's works like really vamping up now. My boat will be done later this week, and I'll start rigging it next week, and it's just a lot of wheels turning. So going to be some long nights, so that melatonin is going to come in. It's going to come in handy.
Well, we really appreciate you being on our podcast. We hope that we have more of them next year featuring you. I know you're going to have a lot of success in the 2022 season, so we're looking forward to hopefully diving into more conversations with you, talking about fishing out on tour with the Bassmaster Elite Series. Don't forget, everybody, this is a qualifier to the 2022 Bassmaster Classic. The Classic will be held in Greenville, South Carolina, and unfortunately, Bryan, I know we probably won't see you in the booth, but we will have a booth at the Classic, so please come by and see us. We'll have a promotion going on. We'll be signing up pro staff and affiliates if you're interested into those programs, or you're just wanting to learn about CBD and what it can do for you out on the field. So, Bryan, again, thank you so much for being a part of our team. We're very excited and honored to have you, and we look forward to many great things happening in the future, bud.
I appreciate it, man, and thanks for having me on. Once again, it's a pleasure being partners, and I'm looking forward to the future. The sky's the limit. We're going to do good things together.
Well, I appreciate it, Bryan. So thank you so much for taking this time. You and your family have a great evening, and we'll be talking to you soon, bud.
Yeah, likewise, and Merry Christmas, everybody watching.
Yeah,
see you,
fantastic.
bud.
So thank you, Bryan.
All right, see you, bud.
Well, that's going to wrap up this podcast featuring Bassmaster Elite Series angler and Revital Outdoors pro staff angler, Bryannew. Bryan's a very, very talented young angler. We're very, very thrilled to have him on our pro staff. All around, just a great guy and a very well-versed fisherman. So thank you for watching this podcast. Again, if you want the opportunity to save a few dollars on trying Revital Outdoors CBD products, that code's right there again. That's Bryannew's discount code. It's new20. It saves you 20% off your entire order on our website. Be sure to check out our website, learn about CBD, Revital Outdoors, our pro staff, all of our products. We have a great full lineup of premium CBD products, from creams to gummies to tinctures, the oils, and then even we have dog chews for your dog as well to help them with their anxiety and everything that they go through as well. So check out our Facebook and our Instagram page. Make sure to follow us there. And if you really appreciated this video and you liked it, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like down in the comment section and give us a comment of what you want to know more about Bryannew or Revital Outdoors. From all of us at Revital Outdoors, we hope everyone has a very safe and relaxing Christmas season, holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody. We'll talk to you soon. I'm Theron Asbury, and thank you for joining us on this podcast.